year PhD student and I was based in the dairy unit. I don't have time to go over the whole PhD, so we'll just look at one study. So this presentation looks at the effect of physical form of grass in situ, either mowing v standing, on grass utilisation and the performance of lactating dairy cows. So the overarching aim of my PhD is to try and develop novel management methods to improve the dry matter intake of high production dairy cattle at pasture. But as I'm sure you're aware, a number of plant, animal management and environmental factors influence dry matter intake at pasture. This presentation looks at the presentation of pasture and how it influences dry matter intake, animal performance and grass utilisation. So previous research has produced conflicting results on pre-mowing pasture to dairy cows, with a study showing an increase of 0.13 kilograms per cow per day in milk solids during the summer months. However, further studies showing a reduction in cow intakes on pre-mowing swards by 2.3 kilograms of dry matter per cow per day. And subsequently, this resulted in a reduced milk production by 2.9 litres per cow per day. However, to date, research has not investigated the effects of pre-mowing on high production dairy cows. It is hypothesised that pre-mowing will improve the performance and dry matter intake of dairy cows, and additionally will maintain grass quality throughout the grazing season. It is thought that this will have greatest effect on high production dairy cows due to their high dry matter intake potential and energy demand. Previous research has shown that forcing animals to graze constantly to low residuals can impact the performance on high production dairy cows. Pre-mowing constantly produces low residuals. So the objective of this study was to examine the effect of presentation of pasture on grass utilisation, animal performance and behaviour. So this was a continuous design experiment conducted over a 100-day period from the 15th of May to the 23rd of August. 80 lactating dairy cows, including 20 heifers, were divided into 4 balanced groups. Groups were balanced for parity, pre-experimental milk yield, live weight, body condition score, milk predicted transmitting ability, and fat plus protein predicted transmitting ability. 2 groups were allocated to one of 2 grazing strategies, either conventional grazing or grazing a pre-mown sward. So fresh pasture was offered daily after the evening milking, and cows were allocated a 24-hour paddock. In the pre-mown paddock, pasture was mowed daily between 11 and 1 p.m. Data recorded throughout the experiment included animal performance data, daily milk yields, daily live weight, weekly milk quality, and bi-weekly body condition score. Animal behaviour was also recorded throughout the study, with ice cubes on the animals, which recorded lying time, standing time, and step count. And then room watch halters, as you can see, it's on the cow on the screen, and goes over the noseband of the cow, and that records rumination time, grazing time, rumination chews, and grazing chews. And this device was on 3 occasions for 2 weeks each time, in June, July, and August. And then also we recorded pre and post grazing height using a plate meter. And to account for the grass left on the pre-mown sward, we also took 10 quadrats and lifted and weighed the grass that was left and took a dry matter sample. Cuts were done twice a week to calibrate the plate meter, and twice weekly grass was also tested for quality. So on to the results. First, we'll look at grass utilisation. As you can see, treatment had no effect on pre-grazing herbage mass. However, the pre-mown treatment had a significantly lower post-grazing herbage mass. This resulted in a significantly higher total herbage utilisation. It is also good to note here that grass quality did not differ between the treatments throughout the experiment. So this graph actually didn't update, sorry, I did put title of the maxi. So it's rotation along the bottom, and we have utilisation on your right hand side, and on your left hand side we have the dry matter content of the grass. So you can see the utilisation for the grazing cows is in blue, and for the cows in the pre-mown treatment is green. And the dry matter content is the dashed line. You can see how much utilisation efficiency follows the dry matter content of the pasture in the pre-mown treatment, especially in the 4th rotation. As you can see, dry matters were low at the start of August, end of July, start of August, and that really affected utilisation efficiency. So on to animal performance. Although it is hypothesised that animal performance would improve, as you can see from the results, there is no significant effect or influence of Primo on animal performance. To further understand the behaviour, it changes a lot over the 24-hour period, as you can see from the graph. However, this is the step count, so this is from the animal's pedometer. As you can see, step count was significantly higher for the animals in the conventional grazing system during the 2 main grazing bouts. This is likely due to the foraging behaviour and selection of specific grazing sites. Primo reduces the animal's ability to actually select sites and therefore reduces foraging behaviour. Now I move on to bite rate. So bite rate is actually the number of bites per grazing minute. Bite rate was higher for animals in the Primo treatment during the first 4 hours of fresh pasture allocation. It suggested this is due to the larger mouthfuls, that the animal has more time handling the pasture whenever it first takes a bite to actually reduce the size of the food that's ingested. And lastly, we have rumination time. So as you can see, rumination time is higher in the conventional grazing treatment, especially after the 2 main grazing bouts. This is likely not seen in the Primo treatment, as the greater bite rate has broken the material down more prior to ingestion and therefore hasn't required as much rumination time. I think from the behaviour data you can see that animals actually adapt and change their behaviour to facilitate different feeding systems. So just to conclude, Primo did not influence sward quality or animal performance, however it did improve grass utilisation, and dairy cows can actually adapt their grazing behaviour to facilitate their feeding system. Thank you very much, and if there's any questions.
Brian had a question. One is, I was familiar with Primo and up and back regrowth by like 3 days. So it's significant if you're, especially if you're into your slow growth conditions.
Yeah, we haven't actually looked at the regrowth figures yet, but although I was just talking with Debbie earlier, that although utilisation, it's very difficult to say that you can graze more cows, as if regrowth's slower, then the utilisation will be outweighed by the slower regrowth, as you've said. It's very bad obviously to say this, but from what I've seen out there, I would think so.
The other thing is economics of it, so when you're burning diesel or getting price for you, what's the economics of burning?
Yeah, so we have also, there's only been a limited time to pull all data together, but as I've said, we took time that, obviously the only thing that's different more is we had very small paddocks, there were only 20 cows, but we have taken time, fuel and like hours in the tractor and stuff, and we will do out economics of each system to see if there is still an improvement in utilisation, is there still an economic benefit with the extra, as you say, machinery, fuel and labour required.
Sam? From a very perspective, there's zero grazing and throwing all your grass into the house. Does that affect the whole situation about leaving grass and using residue to put that off?
Well, David's previously looked at zero grazing, but I think it's two different things. The animals can still, where we're cutting grass to, the animals still had a grazing bite, and you could see, especially as that 24-hour period went on, animals were taking a bite out of the grazing sward, which I hadn't thought. I think it was kind of a bit difficult in a set paddock system, but that's how we have to do it to tell sort of system study. But any grass that was left over, and if it was mowed again, any grass that's cut up and that wasn't grazed, it was kind of wasted until it rotted away. So I think it maybe makes a management system a wee bit more difficult, that you have to hit, a target, so you're not leaving any actually Primo sward behind.
Debbie, do you want to comment on your zero